important thing that happens when you have coffee shop worship is you get to know people better. And so I hope during this next time, during the message, that we're going to have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself to one another and share some things about compassion. Because we're working on a series, very important series that can change your life, series that can change the life of the world. 12 steps to a compassionate life. There's a wonderful organization called the Charter for Compassion, which was begun by Karen Armstrong. She won a contest from TED Talks. TED Talks offered a sum of money to start an organization that would be about change in the world. And she offered up the most important thing we can do is to change the conversation in the world, to begin to look for and talk about compassion. So you have on your table a sheet of paper that you will share together. It should be right in the middle near the offering plate somewhere. And it has on the one side the 3 steps. Actually, technically today we're on the 3rd step already.
It's the larger sheet of paper on the table.
So the 8.5 by 11, there's 1 on the table, so if somebody wants to pick it up. It has the first step, which is maybe the only one you need, to be honest. Learn about compassion. How often are our lives shaped by the things we pay attention to? It's easy in the world we live in today to pay attention to the bad news, or the friend that whispers in our ear, or the inner not-so-friend that whispers in our ear negative things. And so when Jesus was lifted up, he was lifted up because of the way he lived his life. That's why he's called the way. And he gave to us a rule that almost all humanity, in one way or another, has recognized as the healthiest way to live. Do to others as you would have them do to you. And so the Charter of Compassion just begins, and I'm going to give you a little exercise, a little bit, to pay attention. Pay attention for people who are compassionate. Pay attention to opportunities that you have to practice compassion. And I want you to begin to think about perhaps a movie that you watched, but there was something in that movie that touched your heart and helped you to be more compassionate. Maybe it was a song, maybe your favorite song, that you play over and over again because there are lines in it, whether religious or secular, that cause you to think differently about life and give you a sense of joy and well-being and good intentions for other people. Maybe it's a story about the life of Jesus. And as I was thinking about this, I started reading through the gospel stories, and nearly every single story is about Jesus in one way or another teaching compassion or practicing compassion or giving his disciples an assignment. And faith isn't just what we believe. It's what we practice. And sometimes we practice difficult things. And Karen Armstrong talks about the process as if you're going for your driver's test at the BMV and you just read the manual and you've never sat in the driver's seat, what's going to happen? But you have to sit in the driver's seat and you have to manage all the obstacles that come with driving. You have to know all the signs. And in the same way, we have to practice compassion. Not just think it's a good idea. Not just to think Jesus was a good guy. But to begin to put into practice the things that he said. And I found this story about a sign at a horse ranch, and it goes something like this. For those who like to ride fast, we have fast horses. For those who like to ride slow, we have slow horses. For those who are big, we have big horses. For those who are little, we have little horses. For those who've never ridden horses before, we have horses that have never been ridden. And practicing compassion sometimes can feel that way. We have a lot of reservations sometimes, don't we? We ask if somebody really needs help, and we have to get over some of our inhibitions. We have to share something of ourselves. We have to risk. But discipleship's about risk. Discipleship is about the way we practice. So over the last few weeks, as we've been talking about this, have any of you had any insights, or have you done any studies on compassion? Does anybody have a neat story about compassion that they could share? What have you observed? Beth?
A couple of weeks ago, my husband and I got tickets to get to go to the Cleveland Browns game. And we were driving up a back road on the way to the Cleveland Browns games, the two of us and another gentleman in the car, an old friend of ours in the car. And we were chatting away, and as we drove past, they said, it looks like there's a person that has fallen in their front yard. Was that really what we saw? And they didn't jump to any conclusions about, maybe the person had had a party all night long the night before. Instead, they immediately stopped the car and turned around and went back, and it was an elderly gentleman who'd experienced an AFib with his heart, and he had fallen down, and he'd been laying there in his front yard of his house for the last half hour. And they didn't know him from anybody. And in today's world, I think we're oftentimes afraid to stop and help people by the side of the road. But these two guys, stopped. They helped the guy into their car. They drove him up to his house. They made sure that there was somebody at the house that could take care of him from that point on. And I was really proud of them, because I think when we watch the news a lot right now, it's not necessarily something that I would have been comfortable doing as a woman or by myself driving down a back road.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of obstacles to get over sometimes to help people. So that's a great example of that. And sometimes if we don't think about compassion, if we don't include it as a way in our life, we sometimes miss those things. Anyone else have an example of some event that you witnessed, or perhaps is there a song that there's a line in it that says something to you about compassion, or perhaps a movie? One thing I want to get is this real sticky, like paper stuff that you can put up on the wall and you can write on it. You may have seen that in boardrooms and things like that. And just put a thing. One of them that I would have. What movie have you seen recently that made you cry? Because I know none of you are going to talk about that around this table. But you might, if you had an opportunity just to write it on the wall. But I know that those things happen in your life. And I know that there are those opportunities and those experiences that you have where your heart goes out to someone. Something that happens that makes you. So just pay attention to that. Learn about compassion. Think about some of the obstacles that you have to helping people. Maybe fear, maybe embarrassment, maybe not being right. I mean, it's hard to say. Anybody have another story about compassion or thought? Gabby?
The movie Inside Out.
The movie Inside Out. Okay, maybe you've seen that movie? Okay, good. I've never heard that movie. Yeah.
Did you happen to see the Willie Nelson tribute to Willie Nelson, the Congress?
PBS.
Yeah, the PBS show. Anyway, it showed him with the Farm Aid.
Willie Nelson and Farm Aid.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, you see people pick up causes too. That's.
I see compassion here every day, Monday through Friday, at the breakfast program. I was able to help out several times, and I'm touched by the number of people that come, and I'm touched by how grateful they are that we do that here.
Yeah, and you know, and my thing is that I think the one goal we have as a church is to create caring community, you know, wherever we go. Whether you're in the choir, whether you're a knitter, whether we're at breakfast, the goal is to create caring community in a safe space. There's so many people in our community that have no place to go, and they have no safe space, and they have no place where people practice grace and freely give. And so that's a wonderful gift that we give to the community. Matter of fact, I wanted to point out, if we move into the second step about grace, grace and gifts are really the same Greek word. It's charis, C-H-A-R-I-S, which covers a broad range. But if you think about it this way, that your gifts are God's grace for other people. And when we do something for someone else, we're acting on God's behalf. And so that's why we do everything that we do in the life of the church, is because we're advancing God's reign into the world. And in fact, the Bible's use of the original Greek gives us that sense, that our gifts are God's grace, and God's grace is our gifts. We receive those gifts. So what I want you to start thinking about in the second step then, it's printed on the paper, but begin to think about where you can make a difference. And I guess the way we can say that is the place where you come alive. You know, the thing that you are most excited about, your greatest gift, how can you extend that to other people? And how can you begin to practice it right where you are? And the theme of the second step is look at your own world. Look at compassion generally, but think about your own circle, your own world, and put God's grace to work through your gifts. Amen.